Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you at the start of another week. I hope you've all had a very good weekend. No Arsenal this weekend to ruin your Saturday or Sunday. We've got to wait until Wednesday night for Arsenal to be back in action again as we begin the final week of the Premier League season. Thank the Lord for that. It is almost over. I mean, a very, very difficult season for all you guys, all Arsenal fans all around the world. Not been the prettiest of times, is it? I think we're all looking forward to having a little bit of a rest and then hopefully getting ready to go again for 2021 at 22, and it'll be much more better times for Arsenal. But we still do have 2 games to go. Like I said, Wednesday night, the penultimate match against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, and then Arsenal finishing the season on Sunday at home to Brighton, where we will have 10,000 Arsenal fans inside the Emirates. Hopefully that is it now in terms of football behind closed doors. This weekend is the last time of seeing that happen in this country. Fingers crossed that proves to be the case, because what a difference it made. I mean, that FA Cup final at Wembley, only 21,000 in there for that one, but the noise, the chants, the celebrations when Tielemans scored that goal for Leicester, the sound when the ball hit the net, oh man, we've missed it. It makes such a massive difference, and it's been such a rubbish year, awful year without fans inside stadiums, and hopefully now that is a thing of the past, and we can all look forward to fans increasing in terms of numbers as we go on over the summer and into next season. 10,000 at the Emirates, including my dad, who's got his ticket on Sunday. Very, very excited father he is as well. Looking forward to getting back to the place where he is sat. Well, certainly since 2006, since moved to the Emirates, but certainly looking back to getting back to Arsenal and using the season ticket he has had for about the last 30 years of his life. So I'm sure you're probably watching this, Dad, at some point, because you tend to. So yeah, looking forward to the usual wave that we do across the Emirates pitch before kick-off on Sunday. Okay, I wanted to talk about a few things today. Obviously, we've got Daniel Ek's statement was released over the weekend. A couple of other bits as well. Look ahead to that Crystal Palace game. A little bit of transfer stuff, that sort of thing, before we get finished with this video. Let's start with Daniel Ek. Obviously, I don't really know what to think of all this. It's very high-profile type takeover talk. Threw his hat into the ring. No one knew he was, and threw his hat into the ring on Twitter, really, amid the whole KSE Super League fallout in the middle of that Everton game, when he tweeted that he'd be interested in buying the club. Suddenly everyone got excited, then he got the Invincibles involved, and he went on American TV and spoke about it. It was all very, very public stuff. We were always being told that nothing was changing with Kroenke and KSE stance, that they weren't going to be selling. And now that appears to be the case, because Daniel Ek has come out with a statement over the weekend. I'm sure you've read it, but if you didn't, this is what he had to say. He said, inaccurate reports emerged today saying I have not made a bid for Arsenal Football Club. I think it's important to correct the record. This week, an offer was made to both Josh Kroenke and their bankers, including fan ownership representation on the board and a golden share for the supporters. They replied that they don't need the money. I respect their decision, but remain interested and available should that situation ever change. So that's what he's had to say. And again, I just don't really know what to think about it all. I mean, he appears to have wiped his hands of it now. Those last few words, that last sentence, I respect their decision, but remain interested and available should that situation ever change. So it basically sounds like he's given up there, unless something changes with the Kroenkes. And I don't know. It's just the whole thing's weird. Like I said, it was all done very, very publicly. People that I've spoken to who know how Daniel Ek operates in Sweden always said it was never a publicity stunt or anything like that. But then you just kind of wonder at it, the fact that he seems to have given up after one go like that. He'd said about a week ago or 2 weeks ago he was in it for the long term. I think Thierry Henry was on Sky Sports saying it was a long term, and yet it seems like he's made this one offer, which was never going to be enough. It was all the talk was 1.8 billion. That was never going to be enough to tempt Stan Kroenke. You always thought, this will be the starting point, that sort of thing. But it seems, judging by that statement, that he's not going to go back with anything else, and it's just I'll remain interested, and should that situation ever change, then I'm still here. But so I don't know. It doesn't sit very well with me, I have to say, the whole thing. I'm just not sure about it all. Kind of feels like, although everyone said it wasn't a publicity stunt, it certainly has done Daniel Ek no harm over here. It's raised his profile, it's raised Spotify's profile, it's had Spotify in the news over here. It's certainly got supporters excited. But it seems after one knockback, the first knockback, he's gone away and won't be coming back with another. Maybe I'm being a little unfair, and he will come back, but certainly judging by that statement, doesn't seem to hint that there is going to be another bid forthcoming from Daniel Ek for Arsenal Football Club. So, let me know what you guys think about it, or what do you think of that statement? Let me know, as always, in the comments below. But they're my thoughts on it. I just feel a bit uneasy about how the whole thing has sort of played out very, very publicly in the last few weeks or so. Okay, well, Arsenal sitting 9th in the Premier League ahead of Wednesday's game at Crystal Palace. Got an opportunity of 8th, still got an opportunity mathematically of up to 6th, but that's just clearly not going to happen. I think it's Everton are in 8th, aren't they? West Ham are 7th, Spurs are in 6th. All West Ham and Spurs need to do is win one of their last 2 games, and that means Arsenal won't be able to finish above them. They've certainly got a chance to finish it above Everton, who I think they're 3 points ahead of Arsenal at the moment. Arsenal got a better goal difference than Everton. When you look at their fixtures, they've got, I think it's Wolves at home, and they've been awful at home this season. Everton lost again at the weekend, Sheffield United at Goodison Park, and then they go to Manchester City on the final day. So you kind of feel like if Arsenal win both of their 2 games against Palace and against Brighton, then it feels like they will probably finish 8th, because I'm not sure you would back Everton to take... not to lose one of those games, certainly lose to Manchester City on the final day of the season, although City will have the Champions League final obviously to think about ahead of that game. But you feel Arsenal got a decent opportunity still of getting 8th, and believe me, that is nothing to celebrate. And that will again mean Arsenal have no European football. A lot of you asked about the European Conference League and all that, but it doesn't look like Arsenal are going to be involved in that. It's the team who are going to finish 7th, are going to get into that one, and to be honest, I think it'd be awful for Arsenal to be in that anyway. It just doesn't seem worthwhile. I know Mikel Arteta said anything in Europe's better than nothing, but really I'm not so sure about this. I mean, this is a competition that Arsenal do not want to be in. There's going to be barely any prize money involved in it. When you look at it, the standard of opposition they're going to be playing, the travel they're going to have to do, the disruption it will cause midweek, it just feels like, no, not for me, certainly not for me. Yes, there'll be an opportunity maybe to be able to play some of the younger players, which there would be certainly benefits in that, but it would still mean just disruption throughout the week, because Mikel Arteta would still need to be in charge of those games and flying around. It just seems like a real... it would be a real disruptive influence on Arsenal's season for very, very little reward. I mean, the fact that the teams who don't qualify out of the group stages of the Europa League then drop into the Conference League tells you all you need to know about that competition. It's really not something that Arsenal need to be bothering. And I think if it's a choice of that or nothing, for me, I think nothing all day. I think it's going to give Arsenal a lot better opportunity to have a good season next season, not to be involved in that competition, and to be able to have a free week to really concentrate on each Premier League game as it comes. There will be issues with that in terms of the squad and players not being able to play. I think that's why we're going to see Arsenal try and reduce the squad size in the summer, which is something we've spoken about in previous videos when it comes to the whole rebuild and that sort of thing. But yeah, the Conference League, lots of you are asking about it. I don't think it's something that Arsenal really want to be concerning themselves with next season. Again, you guys might disagree. Let me know if you'd rather see Arsenal in that competition or not in the comments below. Okay, let's quickly talk about a few transfer tidbits, shall we? The Athletic reported that Willian wants out this summer. One of a few players we've already spoken about, the likes of Hector Bellerin, Bernd Leno, potentially Granit Xhaka maybe. But yeah, Willian, now that will be a surprise. Certainly no one's going to shed any tears about that. I've always thought it was going to be really difficult to get Willian out because he's got signed a 3-year contract when he arrived. He's got very, very big wages. His performances have been abysmal. On the whole, they've been abysmal anyway. There's been a few decent performances in there. But I always thought it was going to be a difficult one for Arsenal to try and shift if they wanted to this summer. But if he's actually willing to go and wants to go, then that's going to obviously make it an awful lot easier, and it would solve a massive problem for Arsenal. It's been a disaster of a signing, and I'll hold my hands up. I thought it was actually a good signing at the time, and it'd do well and be a decent acquisition. Hasn't worked. It's been an absolute disaster from after the Fulham game on the opening weekend, basically till now. And yeah, if Arsenal can find a way of getting Willian out the door, maybe to MLS or something like that, it would be absolutely huge for them. release a lot of wages off the wage bill, and they could give that opportunity to someone else. Like I said, Arsenal are going to be trying to certainly reduce their their squad size this summer, especially without European football. So if you can manage to move someone on like Willian, then that'll be a really, really big boost for Arsenal. Whether they get any money for him, that remains to be seen. Personally, I think if you get any sort of club coming in for Willian, the fact that Arsenal didn't pay any transfer fee for him, just get him out the door. Just go and get those wages off the wage bill and move on from what's been a horrible signing for Arsenal. Lots of you have been asking about Aaron Ramsey recently, saying, can he come back to Arsenal? Will he be coming back to Arsenal? Now, I've seen all the speculation doing around. There's a few stories today going around about it. My opinion on this one is that it's just not going to happen. I wouldn't be getting excited about Aaron Ramsey coming back. I just can't see it. And this is opinion. I haven't heard any news on it myself or substance on it myself. And when I look at where the reports are coming from, they're not really coming from places that have sort of got information themselves. It seems to almost be emerging in some sort of Chinese whisper, something that Aaron Ramsey would be interested in coming back to Arsenal, and I just can't see it. His injury record has been pretty awful at Juventus, as it was when he was at Arsenal. And I love Aaron Ramsey. He's fantastic. I mean, today's market is 7 years to the day since he scored the FA Cup winner. It was one of my favourite ever Arsenal goals. And I love Aaron Ramsey, but it's just that time has been and gone for me now. And I think you're not going to want to bring someone back who's hitting the 30s, who's got that injury record he's had. You'd have to pay big wages for it. So I just can't see it myself. So I wouldn't be getting too excited about those stories that are doing the rounds at the moment, linking Aaron Ramsey with a possible return to Arsenal. Ainsley Maitland-Niles now. Sam Allardyce has been talking about Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Some really good things, actually, which is surprising for Sam Allardyce. And it's certainly something for Ainsley to talk about. And he's obviously been at West Brom since the start of the January transfer window. Done pretty well at West Brom, playing in midfield, which is a position he wants to play in. At Arsenal, he was playing more of the right-sided right-back or right-sided wing-back. And that was why he really started to get frustrated and wanted to go out somewhere and play in his central midfield position. Now, Allardyce has kind of been talking about that after the game at the weekend, and focusing on Maitland-Niles. And this is what he had to say, and I think it was pretty wise words from Allardyce. He said, "If I were him, I'd play wherever the manager picks me, and I'd never turn it down, because if you're able to play in a number of positions, then you're going to get more games than if you only had one position and one position only. Personally, you don't want to be tagged as a utility player, but sometimes those people are played more often than those who are stubborn and say, I want to play in that position and nowhere else." And I think he's pretty spot on there, Allardyce. And I'm not the biggest Sam Allardyce fan, but I think Ainsley should really listen to that, because he seems very determined to play in the central midfield position. And you would, if you're a footballer, you want to play in your favourite position. But I think you can't, when you're someone like Ainsley and you get the opportunities that he certainly had over the last couple of years at Arsenal where he was playing, you don't really want to turn up that opportunity too much. There's certainly a chance for someone to nail down the right-sided spot at Arsenal, be it a wing-back or right-back, you presume right-back. Now, I don't think he's going to do that now, because I think Arsenal are going to sign a right-back. It's going to be one of their priorities this summer. But you certainly think Ainsley could have played a lot this season if he'd have just not really focused too much on that whole midfield thing and he got it out of his mind. I think personally, when it comes to Ainsley's future, I think that it's probably the best that he moved on now. Last summer, Arsenal turned down a really good offer from Wolves. At that time, I kind of thought Arsenal were doing the right thing there, because I figured that Mikel was going to use Ainsley a lot this season. It didn't happen, and now suddenly you look at it and think, are Arsenal going to get that sort of money on the table for Ainsley again? I don't think so. I think he was probably worth more last season than he is this season, despite his decent performances since he's made the move to West Brom. But I still think if a good offer comes in for Ainsley, I think he needs to take it. But I do also think he needs to listen to Sam Allardyce wherever he goes, whether it be Arsenal or he moves on somewhere else. I think he needs to probably get this whole thing of I am only a midfielder out of his head, because he's got an opportunity. He'll play a lot of games if he continues to make himself available to play right back, to play left back, those sort of positions. So for once, relatively wise words from Sam Allardyce there, to focus in on Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Okay, just before I go today, let's look ahead to Wednesday night's game in terms of team news for Arsenal. Very early team news. We're speaking to Mikel Arteta tomorrow at 10 a.m, so we'll get more up-to-date stuff from Mikel in terms of who will and won't be available for that game at Selhurst Park. In terms of Arsenal, the main two, sort of David Luiz and Granit Xhaka, they've both been struggling recently. I am told that David Luiz is still determined to try and play again before the end of the season. He's got this hamstring injury. Obviously, we know he's going to leave Arsenal at the end of the season now. And he's still working hard despite all that to try and at least get one last appearance in. I think you're probably looking unlikely that David Luiz will be involved on Wednesday night. If he is going to play any sort of part again at Arsenal, it will be on Sunday's game against Brighton, you would think. But he is working hard at the gym to try and get some game time before his contract expires at the end of the season. And Granit Xhaka as well. That hasn't yet been. He's not yet been ruled out for the season. And he will try and play as well. I still got a feeling this game on Wednesday night might come a little bit early for those two, and you're probably looking at the Brighton game for a possible return for either of them. Other than that, it looks like Arsenal have pretty good health going into that game against Palace at Selhurst Park. It'll be interesting to see how Mikel Arteta approaches these final two matches now. Does he go all out and play the usual sort of strong starting 11 that you would kind of would go hand in hand with the Arsenal team at the moment, or does he mix and match things up? Do you give someone like Balogun a chance? Do you give Aziz some minutes before the season comes to an end? Personally, I think he's probably going to go as he normally does with the type of 11 that we've seen from him since Christmas. But again, we'll be speaking to him tomorrow to get further ideas from Arteta on how he will approach these final two games of the season. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Do appreciate your time. As always, have a very good Monday, and I'll be back to join you after Mikel Arteta's press conference tomorrow morning. Until then, have a good day.